Exposed, the incredible Maid's touching response that transformed the millionaire's heart forever. Sarah stood in the grand foyer of the Hart family estate, her old mop and bucket seeming ridiculously out of place against the backdrop of marble floors and ornate chandeliers. The laughter of Oliver Hart's children echoed through the halls, a joyous sound that twisted the knife of her solitude deeper. In her modest apartment, she could barely manage a whisper from her two kids, Mia, aged 8, and Ethan, 5. Their vibrant lives felt like a dream far removed from the luxury surrounding her. Each day, pushing her frizzy hair into a tight bun, she dove into her work with relentless determination. As she scrubbed the floors, her thoughts flickered to her children. The sharp odor of cleaning supplies mingled with the faint scent of fresh lilies from the corner vase. She wiped a tear away, knowing her sacrifices were molding Mia and Ethan into resilient spirits. Every gleaming surface reflected her hope, her resilience, her unwavering love. The neighborhood oozed wealth, wide winding streets lined with expensive cars, manicured lawns that sparkled in the sun, and grand gatherings where laughter floated through the air like confetti. Meanwhile, Sarah returned every night to the silence of her cramped apartment, where the only echo was her own heartbeat. Each time she stepped through the Hart's front door, she felt as if she were stepping into another world, foreign and dazzling, yet achingly beautiful. But today was different. The atmosphere changed when Oliver Hart received a distressing call about his estranged brother's health scare. For a moment, Sarah found him alone, the facade of a successful businessman crackling under pressure. She mustered the courage born from years of facing hardships herself. "Mr. Hart," she began cautiously, "I know how it feels to be worrying about someone you love. My kids mean the world to me. I wake up every day to make sure they have a better life." Oliver paused, a frown creasing his brow. The walls he had built around his heart began to tremble as he considered her words, the raw honesty nestling uncomfortably into his cold reality. Tears brimmed in Sarah's eyes as she relayed stories of sleepless nights and missed meals, fueled solely by her love and dreams for her children. It was a moment of vulnerability that coursed through both of them, igniting a flicker of understanding amidst their disparate worlds. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just as the barriers seemed to melt, a slip of the tongue broke the air during a lavish charity gala. A careless remark made by one of Oliver's friends, painting Sarah as insignificant amidst the glittering crowd. In that moment, the warmth between them froze. Sarah's heart thudded heavily against her ribs as she tried to defend herself, but the sound of laughter drowned her voice, ebbing her significance further into the shadows. Oliver, torn between his world and hers, retreated into the comfort of his status, a decision that felt like betrayal to Sarah's spirit. That in a flurry of emotions, the weight of pride, misunderstanding, and newfound awareness both stood at a crossroads. Could they truly reconcile their vastly different worlds, or would the facade of wealth and titles keep them apart? As the gala lights twinkled, the clouds of uncertainty loomed over them, leaving the answer hanging in the air like a question waiting for resolution. The night air was thick with tension as Sarah hurried to her car. Her heart felt heavy in her chest, a lead weight reminding her of the unbearable sting of humiliation. How could things shift so quickly from understanding to isolation? She gripped the steering wheel, willing herself to breathe deep and calm down. The engine roared to life, but the noise only drowned out her swirling thoughts. Back in her small apartment, the chaos of her children's laughter filled the air, grounding her in reality. Mia and Ethan rushed to her, their joyful energy a stark contrast to the feelings of inadequacy that clung to her. "Mommy! Look at this!" Ethan beamed, holding up a crayon drawing of their family among flowers and sunshine. "Wow, buddy! That's amazing!" she exclaimed, forcing a smile that felt strained. It was hard to keep the facade of normalcy when her heart was still aching. She couldn't shake off the warmth she had felt earlier at the Hart estate, the connection that teased at her heart like a memory that dissolved too quickly. Later that night, after reading to her children and tucking them into bed, she sat in the dim light of her living room, the shadows dancing across the walls. It was then that she recalled the warmth in Oliver's eyes, the fleeting moment of connection. Yet, the cruel laughter of that gala echoed mockingly in her mind. Did he see her? Or was he simply playing a part, an actor in a dangerous game of status and propriety? Unbeknownst to her, Oliver was staring at the empty space across his grand dining table, guilt gnawing at him. He had always lived in a world so far removed from Sarah's struggles. But when he had spoken to her, he had caught a glimpse of resilience and heart that pierced through his carefully constructed walls. Did he let that slip away too easily? He had clung to the norms of his life, but there was a part of him that yearned to break free from those expectations. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Sarah received a message on her phone. It was a notification from a group chat with her coworkers, light banter that now felt trivial. But something within her stirred. Inspiration hit like a gust of wind. She began typing, each word filled with determination. I refuse to be defined by others' assumptions. I know my worth. I will fight for my dreams, for my kids. With a deep breath, she hit send. The support that flooded in from her friends was immediate. They cheered her on, reminding her of her strength, which rekindled the fire within her. In that small room, she realized she wasn't just a maid, she was a warrior, fighting every day for her family. Meanwhile, Oliver paced through his empty rooms, fighting against the frustration rising in his chest. He needed to make things right, to bridge the gap that had widened after the charity gala. Paul, his closest friend, had seen the look of regret on his face when Sarah had left. Are you really going to let a moment like that slip away? Paul challenged, his voice breaking through Oliver's thoughts. Maybe she's right, maybe I've been blind to the things that truly matter, Oliver replied, guilt lacing his words. I need to find her. As dawn broke, both Sarah and Oliver stood on the precipice of change. Two lives, so different, now set on intertwining paths. Would he reach out to her? Would she be open to his apology? The questions loomed as both prepared to face what would come next. As the morning light poured through her kitchen window, Sarah sipped her coffee and stared into the cup, watching the steam curl into the air. The echo of last night's words played in her mind, the message filled with encouragement from her friends. They believed in her, and for the first time in a while, she felt a spark of her own belief igniting. The chaotic rush of her morning routine filled the apartment. Ethan's joyful laughter rang through the hallway, while Mia's singing floated in from the bathroom. Today was a new day. As she braided Mia's hair, she felt a renewed sense of perspective. Maybe today would be different. Maybe today she'd step out from the shadows of doubt. What are you thinking about, Mommy? Mia asked, her brown eyes searching Sarah's face. Just about how strong you are, Sarah replied with a soft smile, brushing her fingers through Mia's hair. Her children were her motivation. They deserved a mother who fought against the world, not one who shrank away. Meanwhile, across town, Oliver stood before the gilded mirror in his opulent bedroom, running a hand through his tousled hair. Paul leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, watching him with an amused expression. You look like a man about to conquer a kingdom, he quipped. Maybe I am, Oliver replied with a wry smile. He thought of Sarah's smile, the way her laughter rang like music in that lavish hall. He couldn't shake her from his mind, she was a fragrant flower blooming amidst the concrete of his life. I just need to find the right way to say I'm sorry. Just be genuine, Paul advised. You care about her. Say that. With a determined nod, Oliver picked up his phone. The familiar weight of expectations crushed him. Would she even want to hear from him? The thought of rejection stung his chest, but a fire burned within him. He had to try. Back at the apartment, the morning school rush was chaotic. Sarah juggled lunches and backpacks while glancing at her phone, feeling an anxious thrill bubble within her. The day was winding down, draped in uncertainty and possibility. The moment her work shift ended, Sarah found herself at a nearby park, standing beneath a giant oak tree. It was a tranquil oasis away from her busy life. A moment to breathe. She closed her eyes, imagining her children playing wildly in the leaves, laughter spilling into the air. Just as she decided to head home, her phone buzzed. A message popped up from an unknown number. Her heart raced as she opened it. It was Oliver. "Can we talk?" With trembling hands, she typed back, "Why?" "Because I want to explain." "Please." Confusion and curiosity washed over her. Why was he reaching out? As she pondered, her heart beat faster. Did she truly want to hear what he had to say? Was she ready to dive into that world again, one filled with glitz and glamour, but also with the potential for pain? Her thoughts raced. Memories of the gala and Oliver's gaze flickered in her mind. She took a deep breath, battling the doubts that threatened to overwhelm her. What was she afraid of, anyway? Oliver had faced his own discomfort to reach out. "Okay," she replied, her fingers trembling. "Where?" Awaiting his response, a whirlwind of emotions encircled her: hope, curiosity, and a hint of fear. As the sun dipped low in the sky, painting everything in shades of gold, she stood there, waiting, but for what? What would this conversation lead to? Would it unravel the threads of their lives or weave them together? The tension buzzed through her like electricity. And then the phone vibrated again. "Meet me at the cafe on Main at 6. The cafe. It felt like the setting for a movie, filled with promise and mystery. Would they face truths together? Was she ready to open her heart again? One thing was clear: the choice she was about to make would alter everything, and the consequences hung heavy in the air. The clock on the wall ticked closer to 6, each moment dragging longer than the last. Sarah stood in front of her bathroom mirror, nervously adjusting her hair. A simple yet elegant dress hugged her figure, but it was the layer of uncertainty that weighed most heavily upon her shoulders. She looked into her own eyes, searching for the resolve she needed. What should she feel? Excitement? Fear? "Mommy!" Ethan called from the living room, breaking her thoughts. "We gotta go." His enthusiasm pulled her back to reality, reminding her of the little lives that depended on her. She grabbed her purse and took one last glance in the mirror, pushing aside the lingering doubts. "Focus," she whispered to herself, stepping out into the warm evening air. The cafe on Main flickered to life under golden lights, creating a welcoming atmosphere that felt almost enchanting. As she walked in, the smell of coffee and freshly baked pastries surrounded her, wrapping her in comfort. Yet, a knot tightened in her stomach. Was she really ready for this? Spotting Oliver at a corner table, she felt her breath hitch. He looked different, somehow more vulnerable yet remarkably handsome, with an intensity etched in his expression. He glanced up, and their eyes met. An electric connection pulsed between them, igniting forgotten memories. "Hey," Sarah said softly, trying to mask her nerves. "Hey," Oliver replied, standing up. He gestured for her to sit. His hands were unfurling as if he was preparing to open up a world of words. After a moment of silence, Sarah took a deep breath, her heart racing in anticipation. "So, you wanted to talk?" "Yes," he began, his voice steady but laced with distinct emotion. "I've thought a lot about what happened between us, about how I handled things. I messed up, and I'm truly sorry for that." A mixture of annoyance and warmth washed over her. She had spent so long closing her heart off, only to find it stirring against her will. "Sorry doesn't change the past, Oliver," she replied, keeping her voice calm. "Trust isn't something easily rebuilt. I know, and I don't expect it to be." He leaned in closer, a look of earnestness in his brown eyes that she remembered so well. "But I want to show you that I've changed. I can't stop thinking about you, about us." For a fleeting moment, Sarah felt a flicker of hope. She wanted to believe him, to let him in and dissolve the walls she had built. But there were so many unknowns. "And if this time is just like the last? Then it'll be on me," he said firmly. But I refuse to let fear dictate my choices anymore. You deserve better than that, and so do I. Her heart thudded in her chest. This was more than she anticipated. Here was Oliver, willing to put everything on the line, showing up for her in a way he hadn't before. But could she risk it again? Your life is so different from mine. The expectations, the pressure, she said slowly, almost as if testing the waters. I don't care about that, he replied, his eyes locked onto hers. I want authenticity, Sarah. I want you. His words hung in the air, weaving strands of possibility around them. They were just two people looking for something real in a world filled with falsity. Could they really find that together? She bit her lip, tempted to surrender to the moment, but what if it all fell apart again? What if, she paused, struggling to find her voice. What if I open my heart, and you walk away again? And what if you don't? He challenged softly, his vulnerability capturing her attention. What if this is the beginning of something beautiful? The weight of the moment pressed down on her, and for the first time in a long time, Sarah felt the stirrings of courage. What would it take for her to leap into the unknown? As the sun set outside, shadows danced along the cafe walls, inviting her to step into the light of possibility. Everything felt at stake with each beat of her heart. The question lingered, unanswered and vibrant in the air. Would Sarah take the chance? She stared into Oliver's eyes and, in that moment, realized they both stood at the edge of something profound. Would they join hands and dive together? The cafe felt like the turning point. But what awaited them outside that door remained a mystery. Sarah's pulse quickened as she wrestled with the weight of Oliver's gaze. A mix of hope and fear churned within her. The cafe around them was lively, laughter bubbling among patrons, yet she felt isolated in her swirling thoughts. The evening light streamed through the windows, casting an ethereal glow on the table between them. Can we start fresh? Oliver asked, his honesty cutting through her doubts. No history, just two people trying to figure it out. She paused, longing for the breeze of a simple, unburdened choice. I want to, Oliver. But can I trust that this time will be different? I can't blame you for feeling that way, he admitted, his voice both soft and steady. But I need you to know I'm here. For the right reasons. I swear. Sarah felt the knot in her stomach loosen slightly. He wasn't pushing for a promise she couldn't make, not tonight. Okay, she exhaled, searching for her own balance. Let us try. But just one step at a time, right? He interjected, a gentle smile forming. The simple warmth in his expression encouraged her, and for the first time during their meeting, she felt a sense of ease wrap around her, like the comfort of a favorite blanket. Right, she nodded, her heart still unsure but willing to take a leap. As they exchanged stories, common interests, funny childhood memories, laughter filled the spaces where tension once thrived. The clinking of mugs, the soft melodies of a distant guitar, and the evening light mingled into a cozy cocoon around them. Sarah found herself leaning closer, sharing more, laughing deeper. Ethan loves dinosaurs, she shared, her face lighting up with pride. He claims to be the T-Rex king of our living room. I'd like to meet him, Oliver said, his sincerity palpable. Sounds like a tough little guy. Maybe I should come armed with a toy dinosaur as a peace offering. Their banter flowed easily, spilling over the remnants of too much past that nearly drowned their connection. Each shared smile and laugh chipped away at the barriers she had fortified. Yet, just as she began to feel hope mending the fractures in her heart, a thought quietly stifled her joy. What if this is a mistake? She mused aloud, catching his gaze before it could drift. No mistake, Oliver responded right away, his tone unwavering. It's a chance. I'm not asking for a guarantee, just an opportunity to show you I've changed. His conviction echoed in her mind, wrestling against her insecurities. Could this be a fresh start? The future felt both thrilling and terrifying. As the evening wore on, they ventured into deeper topics, their dreams, goals, and unspoken fears. With each revelation, she felt as if they were constructing a bridge from her guarded past to an open future. But the question lingered, was she ready to cross that bridge? With each laugh shared, her walls crumbled a little more, yet doubts danced in the corners of her mind. Just as she began to believe in the promise of something new, a text from her sister flashed across her phone screen. Something came up. "I need you to pick Ethan up early tonight." Panic coursed through her. I have to go." The warm atmosphere shifted, the glow dimming as she stood, her heart racing. "I'm sorry, Oliver. I didn't realize how late it was. You okay?" His eyes flickered with concern, and the connection she'd been building with him felt suddenly distant. "Yeah, just life," she replied, feeling a tug of regret. "I wish we had more time." "Me too," he said quietly. "But maybe this is just the beginning." Taking a step back, Sarah glanced at him. Something deep in his expression, a mix of hope and fear mirrored her own, pulled her heart. "Can we do this again?" She ventured hesitantly. He smiled, something sincere and genuine lighting up his eyes. "Yes. Just say when." She nodded, a blend of relief and uncertainty washing over her as she turned to leave. As Sarah walked away, her thoughts raced. Could she really allow herself to feel something again? The night air felt fresh against her cheeks, almost promising. But she had a decision to make when it came to love, and when. She would be ready to choose it for herself. The evening might be ended, but that pivotal moment lingered. Could she open up her heart just enough to let Oliver in? And with Ethan waiting for her, another question remained: how would he fit into this unexpected potential for change? The drive home was a blur of streetlights and silent thoughts, each passing glow illuminating Sarah's restless heart. She thought of Oliver, those soft eyes, the gentle smile, the prospect of starting over. Yet, just beneath the surface of that spark flickered the shadows of doubt. What if her heart wasn't ready? What if this was destined to fail? Like too many times before, pulling into the driveway, she spotted Ethan's toy dinosaurs strewn across the front lawn, evidence of an active imagination and carefree spirit. A small smile broke through her worry. Her son had an uncanny ability to live in the moment, and right now, he needed her. As she opened the door, the familiar smell of home enveloped her. But it felt different tonight, less suffocating. Ethan rushed to her, arms outstretched. "Mommy! Look! I found a giant dinosaur." He held up a papier-mâché creation, bright green and beautifully chaotic. "Wow! That looks amazing," she said, kneeling to his level. His joy was contagious, pulling her from the weight of her adult concerns. "Can we play? You can be the queen dinosaur," he declared, his voice brimming with excitement. "Queen dinosaur, huh? What are my duties?" "Roaming the earth and fighting other dinosaurs who say they're kings." She chuckled, her heart lightening as she embraced the role. They lost themselves in a make-believe world where her real-life worries faded into the background. They roamed, roared, and conquered imaginary lands until Ethan's laughter echoed, filling every corner of the room, but it was too long before reality gnawed at her thoughts again. Ethan, sensing her fleeting attention, paused mid-roar. "Mommy, are you sad?" His small voice cut through her cloud of uncertainty like a knife. It stung her thoughts, forcing her to face the truth. "Not sad, just thinking, sweetie." "About Oliver?" Her breath caught. "How do you know about him?" "Mom, you smile when you talk about him. But you also frown a little." A wave of warmth washed over her, warmth mixed with an ache of confusion. "I just want to make sure that you're always happy. That's what matters most to me." He nodded, his big eyes searching her face. "If he's a nice guy and makes you smile, I think that's good." "Yeah. Yeah." His enthusiasm was genuine, and a flicker of hope ignited within her. Perhaps she needed to think like Ethan. Maybe her heart could welcome new beginnings, just as his little mind embraced endless possibilities in a world of make-believe. Later that night, tucked into her bed, she replayed the conversation with Oliver and the glimpse of understanding she'd seen in Ethan's eyes. How could she keep two worlds separate: her desires, her son's innocence? The feeling of dread crept in again. What if she opened up and it all fell apart? What if she risked this second chance and lost? Her thoughts raced, leaving her wide awake in the stillness of the night. Then her phone buzzed: a message from Oliver. "Hope Ethan is settled. Whenever you're ready, I'm here. Just remember, take your time." Those simple words wrapped around her like a comforting embrace, easing her fears bit by bit. It was reassuring to know he wasn't rushing her, that he understood. But as she stared at her phone, a new wave of uncertainty rolled in. Did she really want to dive back into something so uncertain? Could she open her heart to love again when it had once been shattered? With a shuddering breath, she realized that the only way forward was to confront those fears. But what did that look like? Could she trust Oliver with her heart? The night lingered, heavy with unresolved tension, but Sarah felt a shift within her. Maybe love was worth the chance, worth the risk, the uncertainty of it all. And somewhere in the depths of her emotions, the hope of crossing that bridge loomed just out of reach. As sleep began to take her, one thought anchored her heart: when would she take that chance to step forward? And more importantly, how would she know when the time was right? Morning light seeped through the curtains, a soft golden glow waking Sarah from her restless slumber. The tumult of her thoughts swirled like smoke, fading dreams of uncertainty mixed with the warmth of sunlight on her skin. Ethan was already up, his laughter echoing from the kitchen. Sarah rubbed her eyes before fully embracing the new day. She slipped out of bed and padded down the hall, the wooden floor cool beneath her feet. In the kitchen, she found her son, a small whirlwind of energy, pouring cereal into a bowl. "Morning, Mommy," he chirped, his face lighting up as he turned to her. "I'm making breakfast. Want cereal with chocolate milk?" "That sounds delicious," she smiled, her heart swelling at his enthusiasm. They shared breakfast, the clinking of spoons against bowls meshing with sweet giggles that felt like music in the morning air. In that moment, surrounded by love, Sarah felt the walls of doubt start to crumble. After breakfast, Ethan darted out to play with his dinosaurs while Sarah began tidying up. The sweet, chaotic mess of their life surrounded her, and yet it felt comforting. But even as she organized toys, her mind wandered back to Oliver, his gentle voice, the way he listened with intent. This unexpected connection was confusing yet exhilarating. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again. This time, it was a reminder of the community fair happening that evening. Everyone from the neighborhood would be there, and Oliver was sure to attend. For a moment, excitement bubbled within her, but it quickly morphed into anxiety. What if she ran into him? Could she handle it? "Mom, can we go to the fair tonight? They'll have rides." Ethan's voice pulled her from her thoughts. His eyes sparkled with hope, the innocence of childhood shining through. "Of course, buddy. We'll have fun, I promise," she replied, though a knot twisted in her stomach. The hesitation flared back up. Could she step into that atmosphere and open herself up to Oliver? Would she risk their happiness for the chance at something more? Later that afternoon, encouragement from Ethan's excitement guided her as she pulled out her favorite dress, one that made her feel confident and alive. As she slipped it on, she gazed at her reflection. The woman staring back at her felt like a stranger, yet she could also see glimpses of strength. Deep down, she longed for love, for connection, but the fear of vulnerability shadowed her every thought. When dusk rolled in, the fair glowed with lights and laughter. Music thrummed in the air, wrapping around her like an embrace. But as they walked through the carnival, holding Ethan's hand, the joy felt bittersweet. She caught sight of familiar faces, but the nerves wrestled in her stomach as she scanned the crowd for Oliver. "Look, Mommy. Dino balloons!" Ethan exclaimed, pointing toward a colorful cluster of balloons. As she followed his gaze, she hoped, just for a moment, that Oliver would appear beside her, his hand in hers, but as the minutes stretched into the night, she felt her heart pump louder with each passing second. Oliver was nowhere in sight, and while she wanted to take charge and tackle the night, panic tugged at her. Was she ready for this? Standing before the Ferris wheel, she watched the colorful lights blink, a symbol of fleeting rotations and moments suspended in time. With Ethan, she pushed uncertainty aside and leaned into the joyous atmosphere, letting the moment wash over her. But just as they began to laugh and share stories with other families, her heart skipped a beat. There he was. Oliver stood at the entrance of the fair, scanning the crowd. Their eyes locked, the world faded to silence around them. In that heartbeat, every worry surged back. What if she let him in? What if she didn't? Ethan tugged at her sleeve, breaking her trance. Mom, let us go. Can we ride the Ferris wheel? Sarah took a moment to catch her breath. The question of opening her heart sparked like a firework in her chest. How would she know if this was the right moment? As they approached the ride, she thought about everything that could change. From this night onward. The fair spun around them, the promise of lemonade, laughter, and possibly a second chance drawing closer. Feeling the pull of fate, she chose to take that leap. But would Oliver meet her halfway, or would she have to carry this burden alone? With a deep breath and her son beside her, she prepared to embrace whatever awaited her on the ride ahead. This was just the beginning, but the possibilities were endless. And as the Ferris wheel began to turn, she realized only one question truly mattered: was she ready to face whatever lay at the top? Sarah's heart raced as the Ferris wheel began to rise, the world below becoming a tapestry of sparkling lights and laughter. She squeezed Ethan's hand, feeling his little fingers wrap tightly around hers as they ascended higher. The gentle sway of the ride combined with the thrill of the fair held a perfect balance of excitement and trepidation. Look at all the lights, Mommy! Ethan shouted, his voice bubbling over with joy. She looked down and saw the sea of people, every face brightened by the fair's glow. But as they climbed towards the sky, her eyes drifted back to Oliver, still standing at the entrance, locked in his gaze on her. The Ferris wheel creaked softly, and Sarah fought the urge to look away. Memories began to swirl: William, the man who had once filled her life with dreams, and the void he left behind. It had been easier to close off her heart, to guard it against the pain, but tonight felt different. The air around them buzzed with a possibility that she hadn't dared to imagine before. Mommy, what if we fly? Ethan's excitement broke through her thoughts. The innocence in his words reminded her how children see the world, filled with wonder and no fear. She wished she could embrace that same spirit, if only for a moment. As the Ferris wheel reached its peak, the bright lights sank into the infinite night. Under that vast expanse, surrounded by the stars, she spotted Oliver swinging his arm, trying to get her attention. Her heart clenched. Mommy? Ethan's voice was tinged with curiosity. Yeah, buddy. Are you okay? Just a little nervous, she confessed, not wanting to betray her growing feelings about Oliver. With her son by her side, she turned to face the wind, letting it breathe life into her thoughts. Close your eyes. Ethan yelled with glee. I'll count. She smiled, indulging him. As he began to count, she closed her eyes and took a deep breath, searching within for courage. She could keep her heart safe or dare to reach for something more meaningful. 1, 2, 3. Open. He squealed, and she lifted her eyelids, staring out at the sprawling fair below, each light a story waiting to be told. But amongst the colorful chaos, there was Oliver, his stance unwavering. The realization hit her: she didn't want to let uncertainty diminish the chance of happiness, even if it entailed vulnerability and heartache. Do you think he'll come over? Her heart whispered, but she shook her head, aware that this moment was already slipping away. Mommy, look. We're the highest. She laughed, embracing the moment with him. But her pulse quickened again as the ride began its descent, the land below speeding toward them. The butterflies in her stomach kept pace. The weight of what might happen next pressed against her chest. As they touched the ground, she saw Oliver step closer, a gentle smile gracing his lips. The laughter from the ride faded as the world around them quieted, a new tension blooming between them. "Hey, Sarah!" he called out, his eyes warm and inviting. "Hi, Oliver," she replied, her voice steady, though her heart raced. "Do you want to see something amazing?" He gestured toward a booth at the far end of the fair. Before she could answer, Ethan interrupted, his enthusiasm bubbling over. "Can we, Mommy? It sounds fun." Sarah glanced at Oliver, who looked hopeful, yet cautious. The hesitation gnawed at her. The ride had brought her to a crossroad. A chance to deepen a connection or back away into the safety of the familiar. "Okay," she said, her voice firmer than she felt. "Let us go." As they began walking together, uncertainty intertwined with hope. Would this night lead to something invaluable? But as they approached the booth, tension built, leading to an unexpected turn. A familiar face emerged from the crowd, one that made her breath hitch. "Sarah?" The voice echoed, unraveling all that she thought was controlled. Her heart dropped. The night was far from over, and as her past collided with her present, one question hung in the air: could she truly move forward, or would the echoes of yesterday pull her back? The voice cut through the laughter of the fair like glass shattering. Each letter of her name seemed to slice through the veil of joy Sarah had carefully hung around her heart. Her breath snagged in her throat as she turned, the red and yellow lights of the fair blurring into an unrecognizable whirl. "Is that really you?" The voice belonged to Jenna, her childhood friend, someone who had been there during the happiest and the hardest moments of her life. They had lost touch after William's death, and seeing Jenna again stirred a storm inside her. "Jenna!" Sarah managed, forcing a smile that felt like a mask. Memories flooded back, the laughter, the late-night talks about hopes and dreams, the pain when life took unexpected turns. Oliver hovered beside her, confusion drawing his brows together. He looked from Sarah to Jenna, searching for understanding in this sudden shift. Ethan tugged at her side, sensing the tension but not grasping the reason behind it. "I can't believe it's you. It's been 3 years?" Jenna stepped closer, her face lighting up, though Sarah's heart felt heavy. "Yeah. I've missed you," Sarah said, the word sour on her tongue. A part of her had missed Jenna, but so much had changed. "How are you?" Jenna asked, glancing down at Ethan, and a slight shadow of realization crossed her features. "Is this my son, Ethan?" she introduced, the pride in her voice catching her off guard. "Wow, Sarah, he's adorable." "You must be so proud," Jenna replied, her eyes sparkling with warmth, but sadness lurked beneath. In that moment, Sarah felt the weight of her life choices pressing down. Was she so thrilled to be moving forward that she couldn't find a moment to honor the past? "Sarah, is everything okay?" Oliver asked, his voice a soft reminder of the present. The warmth of his concern washed over her, but she couldn't shake the coldness creeping in from her past. We were just about to," she started, but the right words eluded her as she was caught between two worlds. "Explore something amazing," Ethan chimed in, blissfully unaware of the tension that buzzed in the air. Jenna's smile faltered. "I didn't mean to interrupt your night. I know it's been a while." She glanced sideways, her voice dropping slightly. "I'm just back in town for a short visit. I thought maybe we could catch up." Caught between an old friendship and a new connection, Sarah felt her heart divide. "I would love that," but a long pause hung in the air like an unfinished sentence. "Are you seeing someone?" Jenna asked, her gaze shifting to Oliver, still standing protectively by Sarah's side. "Yes," Sarah admitted, each word feeling heavier. "This is Oliver," he interrupted smoothly, extending his hand. "Nice to meet you, Jenna." The acknowledgement felt like a gentle nudge but also a reminder of the walls she had been trying to break down. "Nice to meet you too," Jenna replied, though her eyes flickered with doubt. "Maybe we can all go together," Ethan suggested, eyes sparkling. "It'll be fun." Sarah felt a surge of hope mixed with fear. Could they all share this moment? Could it be a starting point instead of an ending? Sure, why not? She said, trying to force enthusiasm into her voice, though the edges felt frayed. As they walked toward the booth, Sarah caught Oliver's eye. His expression was gentle, yet curious, as if he could feel the weight of the past pressing against her. She wanted to smile for him, to show him the possibility nestled deep in her chest, but uncertainty wrapped around her like a heavy cloak. Jenna and Ethan were well ahead, chatting excitedly about cotton candy and games. Oliver leaned in closer and whispered, "Are you okay with this?" Sarah hesitated, heart pounding. "I don't know yet," she replied honestly. But a flicker of determination sparked within her. She needed to face both her past and her future head-on. As the booth appeared, the atmosphere shifted. A neon sign blinked, drawing their attention, but Sarah's thoughts were tumultuous. Could she embrace who she truly was? Could she allow herself to be happy again, in that moment, with the echoes of laughter and an electric charge in the air? She knew the encounter with Jenna was just the beginning. And as possibilities spread before her like a fairy tale unwritten, one looming question remained: would she have the courage to write her own story, or would her fears hold her back once more? The bright chaos of the fair surrounded them, yet Sarah felt a deep stillness within. Standing alongside Oliver and Ethan, her heart both pounded and soared. Jenna's unexpected appearance had thrown her off balance, but amidst the whirlwind of emotions, there was clarity forming. The sun dipped lower, casting an orange glow over the fairgrounds as they reached the booth where laughter mingled with soft music. "Let us try our luck," Oliver said with a playful grin. He picked up a bean bag and tossed it into a hoop, the satisfying thud signaling a win. "And of course, I owe you a dinosaur balloon, little man," he said, chuckling as Ethan jumped up and down. As they played, Sarah felt a slight tug of guilt for not reconnecting with Jenna earlier and for enjoying this moment of lightness. But she reminded herself that she had every right to happiness. With a shared win, they moved to the next booth where colorful prizes hung, fluttering gently in the evening breeze. "Look! That dino balloon is huge!" Ethan exclaimed, pointing joyfully. "Let us get it." Jenna chimed in enthusiastically, her excitement infectious. The evening felt alive as they played together, laughter wrapping them all like a warm blanket. But Sarah kept glancing at Oliver, who looked at her with a mixture of admiration and hope. As they lined up for a ride on the carousel, Sarah felt a comforting warmth spreading through her, the kind that beckons for openness. Oliver stepped in front of her, lowering his voice. "You're doing great," he encouraged, offering a reassuring smile. "It feels strange being here with everything," she confessed, glancing over at Jenna and Ethan, who were sharing quiet snickers facing the inky sky. "You deserve this lightness," he whispered back, his voice soft and steady. "Don't let the shadows of the past dim your happiness today." The carousel began to turn, and as the colors blurred happily around them, Sarah realized she wasn't just unearthing joy, she was discovering herself too. She let go of the fear holding her hostage, lifted her chin, and began to breathe in every moment of possibility. When the ride finished, she felt a pull to Jenna, her sister from another life, someone who had walked beside her at a different chapter. As they gathered for a moment, Sarah caught Jenna's eye. "Can we talk?" Jenna nodded. "Sure. I've been wanting to know how you're doing. It's been a while." They stepped away from Oliver and Ethan, whose laughter faded into a sweet backdrop of memories. "I'm still navigating life, but I've been focusing on a lot of things lately. Like being a good mom," Sarah said, vulnerability creeping back in. "I can't lie. I've missed you. I've missed you too." "It's so hard to keep close when everything feels so scattered," Jenna replied, her hand gently rubbing Sarah's arm. "But I was proud of you, really. You've been strong." "And Ethan? He's a wonderful little guy." "I'm learning," Sarah admitted, leaning into this reconnection. "Learning to fight for what matters most, learning not to be afraid of taking chances." "Sarah, it's amazing to see you smiling again," Jenna said, her eyes glistening. "And this guy," she pointed toward Oliver, he looks like he genuinely cares. Feeling the warmth of Jenna's support, Sarah turned back to Oliver, who was pulling Ethan up on a game of skill. She felt a flicker of hope reignite within her, a true chance at happiness entwined with the present realities of her life. "Oliver," she called, pulling his attention. He met her gaze with those familiar, warm eyes, and the world seemed to dissolve around them. "We still have a chance to talk," he smiled, gently leading Ethan back towards her. "This could be a new beginning for all of us," she said, her voice steady with newfound courage. The fear began to fall away, revealing a path leading to cherished moments rather than ensnared in past burdens. "Let us go chase that dinosaur balloon," Oliver said with infectious excitement. "Mommy. Please." Ethan squealed, bouncing up and down. "Okay," Sarah laughed, surrendering to the joy that enveloped her. And as they wandered toward the giant balloon, a bright pop of color against the evening sky, Sarah felt it an idyllic balm on old wounds, a promise for tomorrow wrapped in laughter. As dusk settled, Sarah knew she was crafting a new narrative, one that recognized both past pains and future joy. This was her chance to create the life she wanted, hand in hand with Oliver, her children glowing with hope beside her. In that moment, she understood that true strength doesn't just come from enduring, it comes from choosing to embrace love and resilience, despite life's twists, and before long, Sarah realized she was not just crossing the bridge between two worlds, she was building one, vibrant and alive with the promise of happiness. With laughter in the air, they stepped into the night, a family in the making. For every joy and every challenge ahead, Sarah felt ready. This was their moment, and she was embracing every fragment of it. Take that leap, my friends. This is the moment to believe in the magic of connection, the seriousness of love, and the beauty of choice. So, if you enjoyed this journey of transformation, you need to subscribe to the channel now to not miss the next exclusive stories that inspire and uplift. Leave a like right now to feed the algorithm and keep the spark alive. Let me know your feelings about this ending in the comments. Your words matter, and don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Together, we can build a community of hope and resilience.